Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to be talking about how to bridge the success gap for virtual conferences. In recent history, many organizations have invested in the technology to chase the promise of virtual conferences. How do we reduce costs without compromising on effectiveness? But inevitably, many fail. And why? Because if the content is rubbish, inevitably, your event will be rubbish. You can't take a bicycle to the moon. So why do so many of us try to take a 3-day in-person conference agenda and throw it up on the internet? The truth is, because change is hard and there are no shortcuts when it comes to putting on an excellent event. But there are some pro tips. And so today I'd like to share with you some of my top 5 considerations for successfully transitioning from an in-person event to a digital conference. 1. Start with reimagining the content. Nothing will kill your event faster than taking 3 days worth of 1+ hour death by PowerPoint presentations and ramming it down everybody's throat. Good virtual conferences take planning and creativity. Without a doubt, TED-style talks have reset the expectations and the benchmark for audiences worldwide. We might think that by simply asking segment owners to deliver in that style, that all of our problems will be solved. Unfortunately, that is not how it works. Mostly because every type of transformation is human transformation. And in my experience, the only thing that people like less than public speaking is doing away with the crutch of PowerPoint. So, while I'm not saying that you can't have any slides at all, what I am saying is look at your content like segments. And you'll notice that I said segment and not presentation. You want to mix it up, have some presentations, some interviews, some live demonstrations. Think creatively around the way that you want to deliver your content. 2. Consider the dead air. Rookies plan the agenda. Pros plan for what happens between the content. In an in-person event, we'll think nothing of having a 5 to 15 minute break between each session. In a live stream event, this cannot happen. Think of it like a variety or a television show. 5 seconds of dead air, people start to get nervous. 15 seconds, and you've lost your audience. So when it comes to planning your event, pay careful consideration to how everything flows and what you're going to be doing with the time in between. It doesn't matter what your budget or what your outcome is, there is a solution for you, whether it's an MC pre-recorded video. It doesn't matter how you do it, but it matters that you do it. Number 3, review and rehearse. Firstly, content planning is critical. And secondly, content review is not optional. In order to run a successful digital event, you must have a dedicated team that is responsible for the agenda, the management and the review of the talent and the content. As a part of this process, every single segment owner should be invited to do 2 things. The first is content planning. Before you put pen to paper or assign who the talent will be, there should be a discussion around who is the audience, what is the desired outcome, what level of interactivity do we need, and what is the estimated audience attendance for this particular segment. Once you have that information, challenge yourself to move away from the default, let this be a presentation option, and think about more creative ways to deliver your content. Secondly, as I mentioned before, content review is not optional. It doesn't matter how senior you are. Every single segment owner should be made to stand in front of a team to present their content and receive review and feedback. In the words of Mark Twain, I didn't have time to write you a short letter, so I wrote you a long one. TED Talks are short, sharp, emotive, and snappy because it takes lots and lots of rehearsal and feedback to nail it. Don't miss that opportunity. Of course, you might need some senior executive sponsorship to encourage the right behavior, but trust me, it will definitely be worth it. 4. Invest in the location. Many organizations pursue virtual events because they're looking to reduce some costs, and that is fine. But one area where you do not want to skimp is on the set design, lighting, and production. These can make or break your presentation. Importantly, every single segment should have an accompanying location and technology plan. This is particularly important if you intend to stream from multiple geographical locations. If you manage the talent, you will master the experience. Check and know early where your talent will be, and then check back regularly to ensure that it hasn't changed. Things happen. but it should never be planned to have somebody filming selfie style off their mobile phone from an airport lounge. It's just not quality. An important piece of this too is around setting the expectations with your talent. Tell them early that last minute uploads of slides are an absolute no. Sure, your multimedia producer can probably do it, but why would you take the risk when every second counts and any delay could potentially harpoon your months of planning? It's just a terrible idea. Avoid it at all costs. 5. Interactivity and engagement are critical. I know that I talked about planning your content like it's a variety show, and you should. And you should also not forget the audience behind the camera. Virtual conferences open up opportunities through technology that are more difficult to achieve in person. Think about options for live polling, just as an example, and the ability to change the level of interactivity based on audience size. For example, when planning your delivery methods, consider how many people you expect to attend each segment. If you're running a sales kickoff conference and you're going to have some breakouts, if the session has less than 10 people, that shouldn't be a live stream. That should be a fully interactive video call. And that is going to be what makes or breaks the difference between a good event and a great event that delivers your outcomes. Finally, my number one tip, before you even start planning that content, do a network audit. Trust me, it will be worth it in the long run. Ensure that your existing infrastructure can deliver your content quickly and reliably. And if it can't, make sure that you make the investment to ensure that it can before the big day. Those are my tips. I hope you find them useful. I wish you all the best for your upcoming events.